Welcome everyone to The Behavior Code. This is episode 1. I'm very excited to be starting this podcast. I have a great guest for you today, and there's going to be a new guest each week. First, I want to introduce myself. My name is Yogi Chris, PhD. I'm the founder of Ninth Limb Yoga, and this is The Behavior Code. Behavior Code is about the code of behavior, the genetic and the cultured code of behavior between men and women, men and men, women and women, business and relationships, and primarily an offshoot of my teacher, Arash Zepar Dibazar, and his training of he has a messenger's training and a tabiat training, and we'll get into that. Basically, this is going to be a very fascinating podcast where I'll be interviewing the people who have attended this very prestigious training event with the foremost linguist, mathematician, persuasion artist, and dating and relationship coach on planet Earth, Arash Zepar Dibazar. So today I have my very special guest and very good friend, Bryan Casella of Team BC Realty. And he's a real estate mogul in Los Angeles, California, doing very, very well with that. He's trained me in my sales and communication. So if anybody watches this later and I sold you on something, you can thank Bryan Casella for helping me out with that. And himself, just a pioneer in his own right. And we're going to get into a lot of the, changes that have taken place in his persona, in his life, since the tabiat training, since the messenger's training with Arash Zepar. So I want to hand it over to you, Bryan, just to kind of check in with you. We haven't spoken in a long time, man. And just how you doing today, brother, and how you feeling about being here today?
Yeah, good day to you, Chris. Excited to be here. Excited that you decided to do this. Excited to be interviewed. I'm more and more, we can say, driven after seeing your results and other people's results from the events, and just our crew in general has really just been, springing forward at such a rate that, as I look around to even peers in my industry and the people in what we can call the mundane world, there's just no comparison, as far as evolution, not only just from a classic success standpoint, as far as, how much money I'm making and how much business I'm doing, but just overall development and evolving as a human being, dude. So this is great, man. I'm excited. I'm ready to go, and I'm ready to share my experience wholeheartedly.
Wow, very good. And, we already did, after your first tabiat, let's explain. I want to just explain this just really quick. This is episode 1 of the Behavior Code. Okay, so Arash Dibazar, he calls me one day, and there's 2 other guys on the call too, Christian Delgado and another guy. And, he's explaining to me the basic of the seductive instinct method, this very just a primary image in his mind and a mentality that he had towards male-female dynamic. And if you look up Arash, you'll see that he's, prestigious. He's like an outlier. He's a genius among the rest of us. Even if we're smart at it, it's just like it's no comparison right now. And so he messages me this, and he says, get some money together, get some guys together, let's do an event. So I message everybody that I think of. We collect some money. I message Arash, and I'm like, hey, I got this amount of money, and let's do it. And he's like, that's not near the amount I was talking about, Chris. And he's like, this is $100,000 program. I'm like, my jaw for that moment, for the next 2 minutes, was hanging. And he's talking about, 100K. We'll get started at 25K because I know most people aren't going to come up with 25K. I teach yoga, and 25K for me was a different beast. And I really thank Arash for putting me through the ropes of, what I had to man up and do some things. I was actually just talking with my girlfriend today. It's so funny. And because he does this minor extension program version, that's $5,000. And I'm telling her about this, and she's like, yeah, that should be easy, right? They should be able to get the 5,000 together. And I'm like, that's what I'm telling them. These guys, they're being little pussies about it. And she's like, yeah. And she's laughing. She's like, you got 25,000. Like, it should be easy for them to get 5,000. I'm like, I wish that I could record you, because she's got her really kind of high pitched, very feminine voice. I wish that I had recorded it so all these guys could hear her say how easy it should be, and they need to just get it, and they have to do this. And it was just hilarious. So I messaged Bryan, and Bryan's like, yeah, I'm in for the 25K. And I messaged Akash, and Akash is like, okay, I'm in for the 25K. Everybody's in for the 25K. And it seemed like everybody got the 25K before I got the 25K, but I finally got it, and I show up. And Bryan was there. I don't even remember what I was talking about now. Oh, yeah. So that was the first 3-day training that my first question to you, Bryan, because we already did a testimony, kind of an interview after that. And I got some really great things. It's on YouTube. Anybody can watch it. It's great. But one of the most noticeable changes in you has obviously been your sleeve tattoos, that you went from having 0 tattoos to setting a world record for, in 7 months, how many tattoos, how much ink are you going to get, from going from zero to hero. I mean, seriously, you're like 1% of the planet of how fast you've inked up your body. And, you know, part of that's having the money. Part of that's having the vision. You know, you were able to see everything that you wanted. That's a special kind of person. But then there was this other thing where it was like you were ready to go for it. Like the hesitancy wasn't there, and you haven't hesitated a moment since. And so I'm wondering if you could talk about that. Like what was it that shifted for you that had you start doing the sleeves?
Absolutely. Great question, Chris. Well, one thing that I've experienced, especially for our particular smaller, closer inner circle, we can say, that's done this event, and I'm sure you can relate, we have a bigger sense of freedom, but not just that. We now look at day-to-day life from a different perspective and a different set of eyeballs. And as I started to analyze from that perspective, you know, my past, you know, having that notebook since I was 19 of all the ideas that I wanted to get as far as it being tattooed. And when I started looking at, we can say, the reasons that other people, that's how they would say, the reasons why I'm not going to get it or why I'm hesitating, I realized they were just so elementary in comparison to what we had just learned, what I'd gone through, and who I was already at that moment. And it was almost like the floodgates opened, something released in me, and the things that bugged me before didn't bug me anymore. And I really think what leveled up overall was just me as a man, right? And I think a lot of people that listen to this who haven't gone through the program maybe won't understand that, but it's like, dude, I'm a motherfucking man. I can do whatever the fuck I want because I win and I continue to win, and I don't play by their rules, and I continue to not play by their rules and keep winning. So me being that type of warrior, well, I need to look like the warrior that I am. And all I'm doing is manifesting what I see and continue to create in my mind of who I am and what I'm about. And the outside, we can say, criticism or judgment on that becomes less and less significant, and now has practically erased completely. And now it's just me being more of me, I being more I.
Very powerful. Yeah. As you're speaking and about being a man, I remember, you know, Arash does so many broadcasts, and I take notes on a lot of these. I hope you guys are enjoying the notes. And there's a saying sometimes, you know, I'll catch these phrases and they stick in my mind. I don't know why, but this one thing that he said was so powerful, and it just like really fucked up my reality a lot in a good way. And the statement was, a man is not dangerous because he knows martial arts. A man is dangerous because he's a man.
Yeah.
I was just like, whoa, like, and he gave some more examples after that about how like the computer tech guy can be dangerous and all of this stuff. And it's like, you know, because you're dangerous because you're resourceful, but definitely that first tabiat, which was a really precious and rare experience. And I really felt it was very karmic. There was a lot of karma there because it really felt like, you know, you came to Arash and those teachings, you know, maybe 6 or 8 months before I found Arash, and you got to the tabiat about 6 or 8 minutes before I got to the tabiat. And I was the second guy that showed up. And then he started with that first lecture, and we were the only people there for that. And it was like, it was powerful. It was very gangster, right? And it really, you know, helped me man up as a yoga instructor. So kind of on the same vein, you know, although changing topics a little bit, but that first tabiat, you know, it really opened up an expression of sexuality on your social media. You know, he gave some suggestions about like, you know, different things to put, ideas, you know, whatever you're into sexually, but like some ideas of like dominance or BDSM or just anything like sexual relationship, like overt, you know, like it's out there, like make it clear. And you have a big social media following. I mean, maybe to you, you might say it's not that big, but it's you know, it's healthy. And you're definitely into cars, you're definitely into real estate, and everybody knows you're into like dating and things like that, but you didn't have an audience for like posting those kinds of things. Yeah. And I remember there was a lot of things that happened right then, you know, some girls coming towards you, some guys hating on you and all sorts of things. And every now and then I see you post something, but I'm wondering, how has that evolved in the last 6 or 7 months of you know, posting about your, I don't know, this sounds too flowery to say it this way, but like posting about your sexuality. And has that made its way into your videos also, or is it still on the picture posts?
Absolutely, man. I think in the beginning, it's more of like this new sense of freedom. So you almost, in a sense, want to overexert it. Like, oh, this is what I'm about. Yeah, you can't do anything. Don't tell me anything. This is what I'm about. And it almost becomes, it's like the person who finally breaks out of a jail, you know? It's like, oh man, I need to get a hold of some food, and they'll just gorge on food, you know? And then since then, the focus has been more, even though I still post it and I'm still about it and people know it, it's been more, okay, less in a sense of I need to show, and on a conscious level, let's do this more subliminally or on a subconscious level, so that people can literally feel that without me having to say it. And that's been more of the evolution as of late, I would say, for sure. Absolutely, in my videos, I watch some of my videos now and I catch it, because, you know, as we learn the 4 stages of learning, it's gotten more to the unconsciously competent level at this point. And I catch myself. Same thing with, you know, I think you were asking about sexual undertones and certain things I say. Like, I think yesterday I was talking to a girl, and there was this talk about parking my car. I was like, you know what, well, man, it's kind of a tight spot, and I'm kind of big. I don't do well in tight spots. And I didn't even realize what I said, and then she kind of looked at me funny, but I kept talking, and I didn't realize until later that I had thrown that out, you know? And I was like, man, like, this stuff just comes out now. It's such a part of us now. It's natural at this point, and it's been so deeply embedded, not just from the application of it, but hearing it in the lectures and it being reinforced with Arash. And this is the main thing that people need to get from this is we're playing the game properly, right? We're operating from a different level than other people. Whereas somebody might look at what you just said and say, well, I mean, how is that good for business or this and that? Man, we're 10 levels deeper than that. And we have a level of understanding that you don't, yet we continue to do it. And the people see that it's different, but we're winning. And that's ultimately what keeps their attention. So if anybody who watches this is already listening to this and has that hint, then you're the exact candidate for this, because you're seeing something and detecting something that other people haven't. And that's how me and Chris came across all of this and Arash. And we finally said, there's got to be something to this. And we went in. And since that moment, I've had nothing but progress and evolution. And my level of understanding, bro, is just, even today, I was meditating outside. And after I was done, I was like, dude, and we're just scratching the surface. So I had like an extreme sense of elation. And it's like my mind just went into tunnel vision, like into the future. I was like, dude, this is crazy. We could literally, I'm seeing in a couple of years, like we could even be under attack from like an alien like race that can literally decimate us with like a laser beam. And I could stand there confidently and say, try me, motherfucker. Let's see. I'm confident I could take you out, you know? Like, as crazy as that sounds, I truly feel that, bro.
And that's so cool. You're an adult, right? And what a vivid imagination. And that's amazing. I so relate with, you know, the depth, and it's just getting deeper and deeper, and it comes easily. And, you know, this is so interesting. You mentioned, you know, some of these kind of weekly meetings. I don't know if you didn't say it that way, but you were alluding to, like, he continues to touch base with us about these techniques and following up with us on this stuff. And I started accounting it in my mind before, because I count things, right? I'm analytical. And so I was like, just BC, I was counting, okay, Tabiat, messengers, extension programs, all these Zoom broadcasts, blah, blah, blah. I was like, it's like 100 hours on just this subject, like not counting the other programs, past events, like just since 7 months ago on the subject of Tabiat and messengers, you personally have attended about 100 hours of training from Arash on this subject, and it keeps getting deeper. And most recently was a weekend ago, was 1 weekend ago, it was the Messengers extension program, and he went really deep into language, and he went really deep. Maybe this is the meditation you were working with, because I'm tripping out on this meditation too. Hardcore. Like, I won't even get it. I feel like we're moving through space, and like, I don't even see the planet. Sometimes I have these glimpses. It's really strange. It's almost like, you know how you like have a random flashback sometimes? Like, I'll just have this random flash when I'm just functioning in life of how illusory everything is, that this is just like a figment, like, and I just see my body hurling through space as I'm on the planet. And I just see like all of my stresses and worries. It's just part of this artificial matrix that my mind has become accustomed to. And it's so familiar with that I forgot that, no, there's something else going on here, that we're mostly space, we're mostly energy, and we're mostly vibrate, and we're all vibrations. And anyway, so I have these like realizations, and that's all from the last Messengers event. So I'm wondering if I was going to ask a specific question on the last one, you know, what are some effects that maybe you've experienced since last weekend's event that was so heavily geared on you know, the magic codes of the English language and, you know, some alchemy practices. Like, what changes have you noticed in your business life or relationships?
A lot, man. As far as in the relationship, being able to enhance it so much. You know, when we talk like an intimate relationship with us and our girlfriends, because we both have girlfriends, and seeing how just the everyday language can be and have so many traps. As far as a business standpoint, and a lot of people can relate to this who run a business. A lot of times when we're selling something, whether it's a product or a service, we in a sense are dealing with not just the customer, but all their bullshit and their emotions too. And when you listen to them speak now, there's like it's almost like a tuning fork, we can say now, that's even more calibrated to where when we catch certain words and patterns, on top of the sale, I'm helping them at a deeper level than anybody else can with simple stuff and simple technology, right? Not the deepest stuff from the event, but just simple little things here and there, little nuggets we can call it. And they use that a lot in sales, oh, this little nugget. Man, it's just, it's cool. Because then people, I notice, are responding to me, looking at me, and acting around me in a completely different way. It was already pretty intense before, but now it's like another level of connection, almost like looking at you. In a sense, it's almost like in a movie when someone spots a character like, we can say Morpheus or Neo, and at first they're just like, oh, they're just walking like us, and then they take a second look at what they're doing because they see them jump on a building, and they're like, wait, what the fuck? Like, did that really just happen? Who is that? That type of reaction, you know? And it just continues to help in every aspect, man. And again, it just keeps getting deeper and deeper, but it's tough for me at the same time to put it in words. I feel like words kind of limits the experience in a sense. We can be very elaborate with our language. At the same time, I still feel like it's confined to the results that you see. It's almost like, hey, you got to come with me. Let me reach through the phone and grab you and let you experience this moment with me. And then you can really see what it is. And when you believe it, you'll see it.
Yeah, for sure. You know, and the emotions come through true. And man, there was something you said that was just so powerful. But I lost it, whatever it was. Anyway, I was hoping
coming back around.
Circling back around to it. You know, it's definitely, man, it was something really good. So I hope it comes back to me. Maybe we'll get it in the follow-up message. So the last thing that I would really want to touch on before, you know, unless the other thing comes back to me, and I'll write it down this next time if it comes back to me, because I thought of it twice already, so I'll write it this time, is your Bikram yoga experience, you know? And for a long time, I was really, I was doing my best to persuade you to do yoga. I don't know if you know that, because you're probably like, oh, that's what I was going to say. Okay, I remember what I was going to say. You know, when you're moving at light speed, or when you're moving really, really fast, and especially like if you're moving fast and you're a big entity that's moving and you're moving fast, little changes in your trajectory are obvious. They're really noticeable. And I see you as this, you know, big mass of energy and knowledge and a big following and, you know, influence, and little corrections that maybe you get from Arash, they are felt tremendously by you and by all the people that follow you. And that's so cool, because, oh, this is the cool thing that you said, was that there was, if anybody's listening to this or people that are watching this right now, they're recognizing something that already separates them from other people, because they're enticed. There's something that's enticing to them, and it's not enticing to some people. And that's what, you know, I felt that immediately when I met Arash. Let me take that back. I actually was exposed to his YouTube video, and there was something cool about it, but I wasn't present enough with it. But but I did take note that he really acknowledged his lineage, that he had various lineages, that he would talk about his teacher here and his teacher there. And he only had like 2 or 3 teachers that he would name. And I just noticed over a few videos that he kept doing that. And I really admired that and resonated with it. And now I see this shit runs deep, like lifetimes, you know, different, just on a different plane of existence. And the success is its proof, and your success is definitely your proof. And, you know, in that original testimony from the first Tabiat, you were talking about how it was so worth, that first lecture was so worth the whole event. The first lecture was so worth the $25,000, because it adjusted your vibe that, you know, could be felt really big. And I guess I just wanted to say that. It wasn't really a question. It was just like a cool thing that I was thinking about. So the last question was like the Bikram yoga. So I was trying really hard to get you to do yoga. I even got you to do a yoga class with me once and it ends up being one of my most popular YouTube videos, yoga for ankle therapy balance or whatever. And so I'm curious, have you kept up with your Bikram hot yoga practice or yoga practice of Arash? And what's been up with that? How's it changing for you?
Well, you experience the BC effect, Chris. I get in a video and it gets views. That's just what happens. That's how the universe works.
And that was before the sleeve tattoos. If we did one now, it'd be shit.
Yeah. Have been doing the Bikram. I do it consistently 3, sometimes 4 days a week. And the experience with it has been incredible, really. I find it, from a physical standpoint, of course, you get the breathing, the balancing. It has helped my ankle tremendously. That's not the challenging part for me. Initially, even from when we first did it at the first Tabiat, it was always mental, because you get in the room and it's 100 degrees, 110. And the first couple classes, even when I did it here and I had been doing it regularly, I wanted to run out every 5 minutes. I'm like, fuck this. Like, it's so fucking hot. And eventually, just like when Arash was saying, and many people say, it just clicked one day. I think it was probably my 4th or 5th class. And I just kind of zoned in. I treated it similar to a meditation. And before I knew it, I hardly drank any water. The class was over. I stopped sweating probably within 2 or 3 minutes, took a shower, I was out. And by the time I got in my car, it was like, cool. It was just like stretching for me. Like, it wasn't that intense. So I noticed that my mind was making it all this exertion. And I realized, dang, where is that residue in the rest of my life? Because it's got to be there. If that energy is there, how you do anything is how you do everything. So I know that's present somewhere else. So it really helped me get back to that we can call grounded state. And that Bikram yoga practice brought it to the forefront of my mind almost immediately. And I said, man, I remember having thoughts. I'm like, we preach being such mental titans, and I can't even do a fucking 90-minute yoga class, and I'm sitting here screaming like a little girl. You may not see it on the outside, but on the inside, I'm like, man, fuck this. This is bullshit. Why is it so hot? I can't breathe. And I was like, I sound like a little bitch. This needs to be fixed. So as always, we're always improving, and the yoga practice has been big for me, more mentally than physically. Definitely have felt the physical improvements. However, mentally, it took me up a few notches, and I would recommend everybody does it. I've been recommending it on my YouTube. I've been sending people to your YouTube. I know we recently, I think in the last couple of months, had you on again on my personal coaching program, and it's something I'm pushing more to the world, because I really now, being in it and practicing it, even though I'm just scratching the surface, I do see the benefits of it tremendously, man. So absolutely, 100%. I'm going to stick with it no matter what.
That's super dope. I was not expecting you to say 3 to 4 times a week. I thought it was going to be maybe once a week. So you must be really bendy at this point. And so that's really cool. Pretty soon you're going to find that thoracic hinge, they say, when you do that first head to, it's called head to, hands to feet pose, because the really bendy people can go backwards and get their hands to their feet in a back bend. It's fucking unreal. But you'll find this hinge in your upper spine, and it'll be like a new range of motion. You'll be like, wow, there's a joint in my middle spine. That's like, you already know that all the vertebrae are, there are discs between them, but there's one at the bottom of the rib cage, the top of the lower spine, that you'll find this like hinge there. It'll be incredible. And when you do it, it'll be a game changer. And so that's super dope. Last question. I know the last one was the last one, but this is the last one is, I'm curious, is how one of the things that you got so powerfully from the original Tabiat. Remember, you did like Tabiat, then you did like an extension program, and which is like an online training, and then you did like 2 online trainings on the messengers with him, or 3, and throughout. But one of the things that was emphasized so much in that first one was character study, and finding avatars and characters for each of us that came, you, Akash, Pete, and Jay. And how has your character study developed or evolved? And anything that you would say on the potency of, getting someone who, like Arash, had studied theater and obviously is such a character himself. And so whoever he is, I can't really like reduce it to like what, but he has the eyes to see, and he suggests a few people to study. And how has that evolved for you since then?
Tremendously, brother. When I look at even my childhood growing up, there was always a feeling, an affinity, I guess would be the word, with certain characters and certain archetypes. And before that understanding, it was almost like, okay, well, I enjoy that character. I'll maybe I'll draw him, I'll watch his movies, but there wasn't like a dive deep, explore, assimilate, make that my reality type of feel to it, which the character studying his explanation of it brought to light, if that makes sense. And now it's been a constant, almost like new filter that I have, and I'm always looking at that. Or even if there's somebody I'm watching or interacting with or watching a movie, I'm looking at it from that perspective, and it's cool because you start to see things that you haven't seen before. You start noticing certain tendencies or things that you can improve upon that maybe you didn't have. And overall, I just think it's development for us and really enhancing those things that we can even say are our own unique strengths. It's just limitless, man. And I realize that's really the word that encompasses that, limitless. I mean, what can we not do? It's not, what can I do? It's like, where's that limit? And I keep pushing that way as far as the people that I'm studying and the powers that I'm looking at. When I look at, like, I wrap my Lamborghini Nightcrawler, that was always one of my favorite X-Men character. And even in my mind now, it's like, could I develop the ability to teleport at some point? And sometimes I ask my girlfriend, hey, last night at this time, did you feel like I was in your presence? Like, I'm always testing. And one time she said, yeah, I kind of felt like this feeling. I'm like, oh, that's it. That's me teleporting. Boom. So, and that now becomes this activity that I engage in, not this fantasy like, you're full of shit. No, this is real life. And so bringing that to real life and making that connection at that level, huge, man, huge, just every day for me and the people around me. And that's the biggest thing that I can sprinkle on at the end, Chris, for you and the viewers, is everything we're doing, ladies and gentlemen, not only at the individual level is causing major evolutions, but to the people around us, not only each other, but the people that we interact with and touch every single day, right? And not only is it a benefit for us, but it's a benefit for everybody else in a much broader and more real sense than I think they know. And one day it's going to click, just being around us. And I'm experiencing that. Like this, if I can add this, there was a guy who came last week, just met with me for, 15 minutes just to have a chat. And then after sent me this, when we get these essay messages from people that are like 10 pages long and you almost don't want to read it because they're like, fuck, it's so long. But apparently that 15 minutes changed his life. He said up until that point for the last 6 months, he had been feeling super depressed. He said it's like almost gone, and just on and on and on from a 15-minute interaction with a stranger. Yeah, he knew about me, but he wasn't a student. So to see that, I'm like, dude, that's incredible. How many people can say that? How many people get messages that, oh man, you stopped me from committing suicide, which I've gotten probably 4 or 5 dozen times now, or all these other things. So if we're looked at from a negative standpoint, it doesn't make sense to me, because we are literally the gift to this planet, I believe. So the messengers is very becoming of what we're doing, because that's literally what we're doing.
Totally. And we're only hated on by the curses of the planet. That's so curse them and good. I'll weed them out. And yeah, so well said, Bryan. You articulate the experience so well. And I don't know if you're doing fancy mind control tricks or speech patterns, but I feel so good talking and listening to you speak. So very happy to bring you back and in the future. And so anybody that's, catching this recording after the fact, you can find Bryan Casella. I'll have all the links below, but, Bryan Casella on his YouTube, Bryan Casella on his Instagram. He's got online training programs for his real estate. Is there any exciting thing that's, coming up for you that you'd want to, let the world know about?
So much, Chris. One highlight, though, is for my personal coaching event, we're going to have our next live event in Vegas, which obviously you're invited to. It's going to be February 29th and March 1st, which is a Saturday and Sunday in Las Vegas, in Sin City. And we're going to fly there like the messengers with our wings, which we should probably get tattooed here at this point, huh? Right here.
Yeah, I'm hoping I'm the first one to do that in the group. We'll see. Because I'm not trying to have matching tattoos with you all guys, but so maybe I'll be looking for. I've already I got onto the head with the alchemy symbol, but a face tattoo. I want to be the first. We'll see. We'll get there. So right. Thanks, Bryan. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And we'll catch you in the next Behavior Code every Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific. Namaste.
Namaste.